What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for May 23rd, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. It's Tuesday. That means it's time for a little positivity slash motivation. Today, I'm going to add a little hint of productivity too. And to be honest, with my day job, it's starting to come into the busy time. Like we're finishing up our testing season and wrapping up the school year, kind of putting the bow and just last minute things for this school year, while also simultaneously planning for next year already. And obviously, with at the end of every school year, there's always certain changes. It's never going to be the same. Kind of like a team, the way a season ends for a team. You're never going to have those exact group of guys together the following year. Nothing. We're not going to have students in this grade, teachers in the same positions, things like that. And we're also doing a lot of changes without going into detail for next year with our schedule to try to help maximize what we're able to offer the students. All that to be said, there's a lot of difficult tasks that happen, and then you throw the end of the school year. Sometimes parents start panicking, like, "Oh my gosh, is my kid going to pass? Is it this?" Or parents upset because they're realizing X, Y, or Z. So there's just many balls in the air juggling at that point. And one thing I like to kind of do each day is I'm very task oriented, always have a checklist. It helps me manage, obviously, my job as well as get things together for both of the podcasts. Like I've already got June for this day in Philly history. The topics already planned out for Back to the Future. I have the topics through August. And just, like I said, just helps me do things. But especially with work, the saying that always comes to my mind and the way I like to do things is it's eat the frog. And I don't know. I don't like frogs, so I really, this really resonates with me. But eat the frog basically means you identify the most difficult or the thing you're dreading the most to do, and you do that first. Get it knocked out early, first thing, and then that way the rest of your day is smooth from there. I've always done this, and I just feel like it helps with procrastination and just make yourself more productive because you're getting it knocked out of the way. It's not weighing on your head, not getting in the way of focusing on other things. So by knocking out that difficult task or the one you're dreading the most first, you're able to actually be productive with the rest of your day and actually put your 100% into everything. And most of the time, the thing you're dreading the most isn't necessarily as difficult as it is once you get started. So if you take nothing away from my little rant there for 3 minutes, eat the frog, knock out the most difficult thing or the thing you're dreading the first, and then be productive with the rest of the day. All right, so all that being said, the best part about today is there is no Sixers update. Literally, everything is kind of relatively just status quo. No update on the coaching search, so we're just going to move on. And the Phillies, though, however, lost 6-3. We had hoped that this was going to be the start of something big for them and kind of get on that run. Unfortunately, the offense is still inconsistent. They went 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Schwarber and Stott both hit home runs. They closed it. At one point, it was 4-3. Turner finally was able to knock in a run with runners in scoring position, but they just weren't able to get over the hump. Lost 6-3. One thing I did want to mention, and I thought was kind of interesting. I was listening to my boy Johnny Marks and Ike Reese on driving home from work yesterday, and they were talking about, I think it was Johnny Marks and Ike Reese, but they were talking about how this Phillies team basically, because of the way they finished out the season last year and got hot and went on that run, it's kind of saving them from being really criticized the way they should be. Because imagine if there wasn't the third wild card and they did not make that run, missed the playoffs last year, came back this year with the the payroll they have, we would be skewering this team. So they're teetering right now, and they're living off a little bit of those good vibes and good energy from the run last year. But it is worth noticing, and I think it was Marks brought it up, but just the fact of the matter is, yeah, we would be ripping this team if they had not made the World Series run. So just something to keep in the back of your mind, and hopefully they're right where they were last year roughly, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but they need to do something, needs to give where they're able to jump start and just be more consistent. So we'll see. One thing that is consistent though is the selection of Philly-based tees and apparel on phillygoat.com. Check them out. Like every time I go on there, I see a new shirt that I'm like, oh, I want this. Like I literally could take my whole paycheck next week and buy one shirt and still need to have more money. But go check out philly.com. Just keep scrolling throughout there. What they have is just amazing. Again, whether it's Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, they have Union stuff, Philly neighborhood, just Philly-based iconic things for Philly in general. There's some Rocky shirts, just totally well worth it. I would, like I said, definitely check them out. phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order at checkout. Definitely worth looking into. phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery. All right, today we're going to go back to 1887. And today, the National Colored League, the first all-black baseball league in America, folded. And the Philadelphia Pythians were the best team. They only played like 5 games and went 4-1. They were Philly's first black baseball team 20 years before any of the other teams that were more recognizable came in. But they were founded by Octavius Cotto, who we talked about him back in February. And they originally folded after he passed, or after he was shot to death for the day of the election back then in 1871. But they were rebranded in 1887 when the National Colored Baseball League came into play. Unfortunately, due to money issues, the league ultimately folded, and basically the Philly team dropped out a few days before the whole league folded. And because they wanted the Philly market, they wanted the team to be in Philly. Without the team in Philly, it just ultimately did not exist. But the league folded again on this day, basically due to just travel issues. So the Interstate Commerce Act of 1887, I don't know the specifics of what the act did, but whatever happened, the railroad companies had to revoke the group rate. So obviously, if you're a fledgling baseball league, especially back then, if you're a black fledgling baseball team or league, you kind of rely on that group rate. So without that, there just wasn't enough money. And it was almost like they were ahead of their time, because it would be almost 20 years until the Negro Leagues really took off and ultimately returned to Philly. We talked about the Giants. We talked about the Philadelphia Stars. But on this day, the National Colored Baseball League did fold, the first attempt at an all-black baseball league. And again, like I said, I think they were ahead of their time, because ultimately the Negro Leagues were not only successful, but produced a lot of great players, and we've talked a lot over the past few months about that. So, all right, our Sixers playoff spotlight, we're going to go back to 1986-87. They went 45-37, second in the division, 5th seed in the conference. Charles Barkley, 23 points per game, 8.9 rebounds. Mo Cheeks, 7.9 assists. Dr. J, Mo Cheeks, and Charles Barkley were all-stars on this team. Barkley was second-team All-NBA. Mo Cheeks was second-team All-Defense. This was Dr. J's last year as a Sixers. As a Sixer, they traded the number 1 overall pick that year. More on that coming next week when we talk about Back to the Future. They did lose to the Bucks for the second straight year in the playoffs in the first round. This time, 3-2. Sending Dr. J on his way to retirement with a sour note in his mouth. But again, we'll get more into that Back to the Future, more of that on Back to the Future, that trading that number 1 draft pick and how it really set the tone for that the team from that point on, from the 1986-87 season through basically the next 10 years until they drafted Allen Iverson number 1 overall. So the 86-87 Sixers, very disappointing finish to that season, disappointing finish to Dr. J's career. He was only able to go out with the 1 championship. But on this day back in 1887, the National Colored Baseball League, the first all-black baseball league, folded. It would be 20 years before the Negro Leagues would return back to Philadelphia. Let's hope. I'm heading down to the Phillies game again tonight. My wife got free tickets for work, so hopefully I'm going down to see a win. I'm 1-0 this year. Let's make it 2-0 tonight. Remember to eat the frog when you go into work today. Get that hard task knocked out, and then just let the rest of the day just flow for you. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Be sure to check out phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. Go have yourselves a Tuesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.